All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Thank you for taking time out of your day to check the video out. We have more PlayStation news, rumors, and leaks to go over and cover here today. So we are starting with a PlayStation Showcase update. Obviously, this is what everybody is anticipating, and we are rapidly approaching the final week of May. The announcement, as of the time of this recording, still hasn't occurred. However, we have something here that may indicate the announcement is imminent. It says here, being reported by PlayStation Lifestyle, Sony is reportedly set to hold its annual PlayStation Days of Play promotion for 2024 starting next Wednesday, possibly coinciding with the rumored showcase. It's increasingly looking like the rumored PlayStation event is happening next week. An announcement could happen anytime now. The aforementioned report comes from none other than reliable Dia Labs leaker Billy Bill Kuhn, who has an impeccable track record when it comes to PlayStation leaks. According to them, the Days of Play promotion will run from Wednesday, May 29th, up until Wednesday, June 12th. Interestingly, prior to his report, another insider, Nick Baker, claimed that he heard something about a PlayStation event happening on May 28th, give or take due to time zone differences. So I believe Special Nick is from Australia. So if I'm not mistaken, I think that would actually, at least for me, right, that would mean like the 29th of May. But it says here that Billy Bill Kuhn states that Sony will offer a flat 25% discount across all PS Plus tiers. We believe that this will apply to all users, regardless of whether they are new, returning, or current subscribers. The report also claims that there will be discounts on PS5 Slim Disc and digital consoles to the tune of €50 or possibly $50 in the US, and PSVR 2's price will be slashed by €100. DualSense controllers, excluding the Edge, will be knocked down to 50 or knocked down by €50. So yeah, this is some really interesting stuff we're learning. I mean, the Days of Play itself is not necessarily that interesting because we do expect this every year. It is an annual thing that Sony does, but the fact that this has kind of been discovered on the back end, that it's set to go live on the 29th, I mean, all signs to me are pointing to that being when we're actually getting this showcase. You know, will it be announced today or tomorrow? I don't know at this point. It seems like Sony is, they don't really have some kind of pattern to follow when it comes to when they decide to announce these things, like how far in advance. Usually it's about a week, but, there have been times where it's been like 4 days or something like that. So, yeah, wanted to share this with you guys. I know everybody is really curious to learn whether or not the showcase is actually happening this month, but as of right now, it still seems like, yes, it is. It just is actually going to be the last week of the month. But we are going to move on to the next topic, which is a pretty significant update on Death Stranding 2. Being reported by WCCF Tech, Death Stranding 2 has entered an adjustment phase that will last roughly 1 year. This is according to creator Hideo Kojima. That's what Kojima said during the most recent episode of his NHK radio show, Hideo Kojima's Radio. During the broadcast of the show's second episode, the legendary designer talked about the Death Stranding sequel and revealed that shooting and recording with the cast has been completed. In addition, Kojima mentioned that the game will now enter an adjustment phase, during which he and his team will be refining transitions between scenes and controls, as well as improving the game's overall clarity and entertainment value. Death Stranding 2 is slated for a release on PS5 sometime next year. An exact release date has yet to be announced. We did get a new trailer back in January of this year that gave us that 2025 release window. And it says here, Kojima also talked about the trailer and said that he wanted to show off the game's theme, overall look, as well as gameplay. In addition, Kojima said that he wanted to show the characters that the characters are connected to each other. And so, yeah, that was a great trailer. Obviously, I'll probably have it playing in the background of this video, but it seems to me like Kojima is essentially confirming what we were all speculating, and that is that Death Stranding 2 would be ready to go, maybe by like mid-2025. Maybe it could end up also being a holiday 2025 game, but something that I think is made pretty clear is that this is going to be a massive title for PlayStation 5, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it actually does end up being like the big 2025 or one of the big 2025 holiday titles for Sony next year. But there you go. They have about a year left of development time. Moving on to the next topic, we're talking about an update that the PlayStation hours played, or the PS5 hours played tracker received, but apparently it kind of broke it. Being reported by PlayStation Lifestyle, it says a PS Network update yesterday seems to have adjusted the PS5 hours played tracker, but the update has ended up breaking the counter more than fixing it. A large number of users have reported that while their number of hours played are now displaying correctly in some games, they have significantly dropped in others. PSN's hours played counter isn't exactly a crucial feature, but for some reason Sony insists on having it. As we've reported previously, despite its own insistence on having a tracker, Sony hasn't managed to fix it, and it remains busted to date. Numerous threads popped up on Reddit last night with players noting that they lost hundreds and even thousands of hours played in some games, while other games now show a more accurate playtime. Users on PSN profiles also reported the issue, with some noting that their playtime is now all over the place. So I'm assuming Sony's going to try to fix this, because even though it's not like a major critical, feature with the PS5, I mean, I can only speak for myself here. It's something that I definitely care about, right? Like, I like to see how much time I spend playing games, because I feel like sometimes you spend a lot more time with games than you may have realized, or the other way around. You thought you spent a lot more time with a game than you really did. And it's just always kind of interesting to kind of, look at those lists and see like which games do I spend the most amount of time on versus which games do I spend the least amount of time on. And it just, yeah, it's one of these things where if Sony's going to have this as a feature, they should definitely make sure to fix this and make it as accurate as it possibly can be, because if not, why even have it, right? It just seems totally pointless. So hopefully it's something that they'll correct sooner rather than later. I'll update you guys if I find that out. So let me know if you care about the hours played tracker on the PS5. Moving on to the next topic, being reported by Push Square. It says here that it's no secret that Sony is desperate for a smartphone success story. Companies like HoYoverse have proven that titles can transcend different devices, with the likes of Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail huge on PS5, PC, and mobile. PlayStation has been scrambling to set up a mobile subsidiary within its business for years, acquiring developer Neon Koi and going through some leadership changes. We're yet to really see the fruits of its efforts, but it's not giving up. A recently discovered job listing for a mobile platform architect reveals that Sony is still very much committed to this plan and is actively looking for someone who can spearhead the development of an infrastructure which will allow it to better develop, publish, and operate free-to-play mobile games. While it's hard to glean too much information from the recruitment post, it sounds like the successful candidate will be building internal tools to help streamline management of PlayStation's proposed mobile catalog. Ultimately, it means that for now, the company is still committed to the idea of making smartphone games. While we're sure there'll be criticism in the comments, it makes sense. Mobile games are a huge proportion of the gaming industry's income these days, and with the current line of smartphones available, there's no real reason why Sony can't develop for PS5 and mobile like many Chinese and Korean developers are doing. At the end of the day, though, for this strategy to actually work, it needs to publish some games, and on that front, we're still waiting. And yeah, I thought that this was worth noting because it reaffirms that even though we haven't heard pretty much anything about Sony's efforts with PlayStation Mobile, it's definitely not something they're giving up on, and it's something that they are still taking very seriously. It does seem to confirm, I don't want to say it confirms, but it insinuates heavily that anything they've tried to do for the past like 4 or 5 years has just not really worked out and has not resulted in anything, thus why we haven't seen anything. But we do know that they did acquire a developer, that being Neon Koi. I think they were renamed to Neon Koi. They used to be called Savage Games. And their expertise is in mobile, and they're making some kind of AAA mobile game. So I do wonder, like, if we're going to hear about this sooner rather than later, because we have been waiting for a while. And I don't really care about mobile gaming, but I can understand for sure why Sony is like, look, we got to do something with this when it comes to PlayStation. Yeah, it makes total sense. I'll be interested, at the very least, to kind of see what they end up announcing and what comes of this. But just wanted to give you guys a bit of an update on this because, again, we haven't really heard anything, but This job listing confirms that they are still very serious about making this happen. Moving on to the next topic, we have a update for Helldivers 2. This is again reported by Push Square. Helldivers 2 has obviously been a huge hit for both Sony and developer Arrowhead Studios, but without regular updates, any ongoing game will struggle to maintain a large audience in the current live service landscape. Fortunately, most would agree that the team's been doing a great job when it comes to keeping Helldivers 2 ticking, but apparently Arrowhead does want to smooth things out a little bit going forward. According to the developer's community manager, known as Twinbeard on the game's official Discord, the concern is that the updates can be a touch too frequent. We want to take more time for this, the most recent patch, and potentially between future patches, since we feel cadence has probably been a bit too high to be able to maintain the quality standard we want and that you deserve. This is what Twinbeard told the community. Amongst some players, there's a feeling that recent updates have been a bit heavy-handed, particularly when it comes to gameplay balance. And again, there's been criticism regarding patch frequency, and that balance adjustments don't have long enough to properly settle. The hope then is that fewer patches will mean better patches. So essentially, what I'm taking from this is that the Helldivers development team, Arrowhead, they're going for a quality over quantity approach going forward when it comes to patches. So you may have to wait longer for it, and whatever problems there might be, present in the game, you're going to have to just kind of sit on it and deal with it for a while. But the patch that comes should be one that really takes care of a lot of things, and overall is just a higher quality patch that most people can feel good about. So wanted to just let you guys know about that for anybody who's still playing Helldivers 2. But we are moving on to the final topic of the video, and it's pretty sad topic. It has to do with the closure finally happening with London Studio. PlayStation Lifestyle reports PlayStation London Studio has penned a heartfelt goodbye message to players as it shuts its doors after 22 years in operation. SIE announced mass layoffs across PlayStation in February, which resulted in 900 redundancies. London Studio took the biggest hit, being shut down entirely. For over 20 years, London Studio has been home to some exceptionally talented and wonderful people in the games industry, reads a farewell message posted on X. As we close the doors and all go forward to new adventures, we wanted to say a heartfelt thank you to all our past and present players and colleagues who have supported us over the years. We've had one wild and wonderful journey. And the studio's X profile has been updated to note that it has now officially closed. So yeah, pretty sad to see London Studio go. I've said in streams that I really would have liked to, see this team be given another chance to maybe try to develop a proper single-player game. This studio is known for a lot of different types of games, like SingStar, and they made Blood and Truth, which a lot of people actually really liked for PSVR 1. And they're known for games like The Getaway, back during the PS2. And I feel like it would have been at least fair, considering how old this studio is and how long it's been around, to just give them a chance. Like, can you make just a regular single player game, just a regular experience? Because what they were working on before they got shuttered was actually a live service game. So, that again comes from the Jim Ryan era of greenlighting all these live service games, and it was a fantasy game. And I just had this kind of bad feeling about it. Like, I just don't know that anybody's really asking for something like this, especially from a internal PlayStation studio. But yeah, this is the way it's going down. And so RIP London Studio. Hopefully there are no more studio closures for PlayStation going forward, because it always sucks to see. But guys, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative. If you did, be sure to leave it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.